It's amazing, isn't it, really, what you can do when you got a little tape?
Swamp Donkey Radio, Swamp Donkey Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, kings and queens, fat men and batmen. Whatever the fuck you want to call yourself from this point onward, I will be referring to you as listeners. My name is Jan-Hen.
And I'm Nadi.
And welcome to the 5th episode of Swamp Donkey Radio. For those of you who don't know, this is a podcast about media, stuff you take in, stuff that you can experience, stuff that you can become a fan of.
Hobbies and fun pastimes.
Yes. Yeah, we just give our reviews, we give our thoughts on it. Every week we pull something out of a hat of mystery and we give our review on it. That's basically the gist of it. So forewarning, guys, you might have heard it in the beginning, but there might be a bit of profanity in this.
No, there'll definitely be fucking profanity in this.
Yeah, way to ruin the PG for this, Nadia. This is all your fault.
Sure, like there was ever going to be a PG rating on this.
It's not like I say fuck in the start of every single episode.
No, definitely not.
We also don't give ratings for the stuff that we review. We just give our opinion and we say at the end, would we recommend it or not? And we give our thoughts. And if we discuss something that has a story to it, we will divulge into spoilers. We will, head in that direction, but we'll try and not spoil too much.
Yeah, if we can avoid any of the spoilers,
yeah, unless
we'll try. Major spoilers, we'll try to avoid.
Yeah, and unless it's a big talking point for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it. That's basically the gist of our podcast. But before we head to our subject, how has your week been, Nadia?
Good.
Week in media.
Oh, my week in media? It was non-existent. As you know, I went to go visit my sister.
Yes, and your stand-in was in.
And Marius was very right.
Yes, it is weird.
No. Testicles.
Having testicles.
Testicles are weird. I agree.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been busy with work. Sadly, no media. Although I did have a Gravity Falls binge watching session.
Well, that's a good media thing to take in.
Oh yeah, I mean, unhealthy obsessions is kind of my thing. Because the week before that, it was like a Tolkien run thing. All the Hobbit movies, all the Lord of the Rings movies.
Because what you don't realize is you actually have a lot of stuff to give in because you were away for 2 weeks. So your Tolkien binge and your Gravity Falls binge was that's a lot of media to take in if you don't realize it already.
I guess. I don't know. Binge watching, I always realize it's a bad idea after I've done it. I always enjoy it, but after a while I'm like, inconsistency, and then it gives me a panic attack, and then I stop watching it for a few months.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And then you binge watch it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and you've also watched, I showed you a few episodes of anime that I recommend, and I actually put it in the hat already.
They're in the hat, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so reason to finish watching everything.
Yes. Just by the way, we're not going to review it in this episode, but it is in the hat. It's, the one anime is called Ore Monogatari, My Love Story in English.
Flippin' soetsappig for those Afrikaans people. It's really, really sweet.
Yes, I finished it and I recommended it to Nadi, and then she was like, "Oh, well, show me the first two. Show me an episode or two." And then I showed her 2 episodes.
Now I want to punch him because I can't finish watching it anytime soon. And me and my unhealthy binge watching thing. I want to punch you because you won't tell me how it ends.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I'm not that guy.
I hate you.
And the other show was Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which was it's animated by it's the same animation studio as Lucky Star K on The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
That's in the hat too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's not finished. It's not complete yet.
Okay. Because I have many comments on the dragon.
Yes. So that's well, it's in the hat. So we're going to talk about it at a later stage. My week has been. I want to say it's kind of the same as every other week. It's like I play a bit of Pokemon, but now I'm not breeding for competitive Pokemon because they're all my competitive Pokemon are ready. I'm busy with that competition, and now I'm just breeding for a shiny Eevee.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's about it with Pokemon, and then getting salty with Overwatch. That's like my fucking life, you know.
That's every week.
Yeah. And then, other than that, I've been watching a few anime series that I've been meaning to get into. So, like, Oremonogatari was one of them that I finished watching. And then, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Also wanted to watch it because I'm a KyoAni fan. Like, that's about it. Also, just going to mention it quickly, the Switch is out.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to divulge into that because that's in the hat. I'm going to I'm going to rein it all in because the reason why I'm not going to talk too much about it is because I am the type of person who avoids anything when it comes to stuff I'm excited for.
Okay, so no spoilers.
No spoilers. I'm not going to talk about anything other about the Switch. I'm just going to say that's one thing I experienced.
Okay, so
well.
that's going to be a little bit further into the future just because we respect you and we respect the other
people who don't want to
future
be
Switch users.
Yes. Because in South Africa, the Switch was slightly delayed actually.
Yeah, well, isn't that our life?
Yeah, true. But I'm not going to divulge too much into it. But all I can say is I know this is not Nintendo's fault that it was delayed. Yeah, that's my week in media basically. Other than obviously what we're going to talk about this week, podcasts. Just listening to podcasts and to a related extent, Let's Plays and stuff, like stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
We rarely mention stuff on YouTube, but I actually watch a lot of stuff on YouTube.
You do.
Yeah. So, I watch more YouTube than I do TV, you know, or like TV shows.
What's a TV?
Yes, what's a TV?
No, really, I don't have a TV.
It's one of those things where there's a bird inside, and then like you push it on, and then like the camera like zooms in, and then the bird goes, it's a living.
Oh, I thought I was that magic box with the tiny people that like sing and stuff.
Yes.
That one.
That joke was good, and also my really shit Flintstones joke.
I forgot about the Flintstones.
Wap.
That was very long ago.
Yeah, I'm old.
You're going
But it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
Guys, Flintstones. They're literally ancient right now. Not just the premise.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I'm
weird
so
to think.
sorry.
It's weird to think this is a side tangent kind of thing, but it's weird to think that shows like that are like actually fuck old. They're like older than fuck. I can't even remember when Flintstones started because I wasn't born then. Obviously, it was like it started in the. It's not an 80s show. It started in like the 70s, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, South Africa does get everything late, so I feel like that was a big part of my childhood.
Yeah, obviously. But we got stuff really late, like
Yeah.
in those times. We got it like
we still kind of do, but not to the same
not as
extent.
much.
Yeah.
Not as much. Like some
Yeah.
like some stuff. If it's not available on the internet yet, like let's say, for example, like Game of Thrones. If you want to watch it on a TV show here and you don't have HBO,
Oh, you have to wait until like 3 a.m. or something.
yeah, there's some kind of thing like that where they try and like still lure you into watching TV, but like everything's now video on demand.
That's
Everything
true.
is Netflix. We have one that's called Showmax. That's a lot like Netflix and HBO. And I don't even know if HBO is available in South Africa. I don't even know. Fuck if I know. I don't even watch anything related to TV. And YouTube TV's out now.
It is?
Yeah.
Man, I really need to get internet at home.
But we can't watch stuff like that because we're South Africa.
and
they-
everything's unavailable in your region.
Yes.
Lovely.
We can't even, I don't know, like maybe once this podcast airs or maybe sometime after the podcast aired that we get YouTube Red, but we still can't get YouTube Red.
I doubt it. The rest of the world really hates us.
Well, emo points aside, we're gonna like try and pop some pills to like cheer us up in this break before we talk about our subject for this week.
Podcast!
The casts that pod. I'm sorry.
Actually, where did that name come from? I have no idea.
iPod. It's something that's broadcasted on iPods.
Was that how it started?
I'm pretty sure. I'll research that during the break.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to you guys and enjoy. Like, we'll talk to you guys after the break and enjoy the ad. Oh fuck. Bye! Welcome back, dear listeners, to Swamp Donkey Radio. I'm still Jan-Hen.
And I'm still Nadi.
And I did a bit of research, and yes, podcast did come from, it's a portmanteau of iPod, the pod, and then broadcast. So it's a podcast. It's something that's broadcast on an iPod. Fancy that.
Cool, because they needed radio shows, because the radio doesn't exist.
Yeah, because what is a fucking radio?
Exactly.
You know? I have a cheap phone. I can listen to AM radio. That was my life. I had this cheap Sony Ericsson phone, and like,
oh, I remember that.
And one of the selling features is you can listen to radio, and I'm like,
you just get
can't
these...
every other fucking phone do that?
Yeah, and you just get people walking around with their phone like right next to their ear, but
Yeah.
it's like really loud, and they're just like listening to the radio.
Yeah, it's either that or like you have a little Bluetooth thingy in your ear and look like a douchebag.
Yeah, well, those were the classier people. It's for me, the radio and like the phone was the same as those people carrying big boom boxes, just like listening to
Have
music.
you ever seen someone carry a huge boombox?
I was
just like going like, yeah.
Not recently.
Not recently. I don't think it ever happened here,
Are you sure?
unless someone stole it.
Okay. Moving on.
So our theme, our discussion point for this week is podcasts. So, as we usually do with something that is a bigger concept than one little movie or a series or something, we like to give it a bit of history with
Our
that,
experiences.
yeah, that we experience with
Yeah.
podcasts. So you only started listening to podcasts recently, right?
I would say more or less a year ago.
Mm.
Basically what happened was I saw a lot of fan art of Welcome to Night Vale on Pinterest. And I was like, this seems pretty cool. Let me listen to it. And to be honest, like the first episode was like, this is weird. Kind of like it, but I don't know if I'm going to keep listening. Think 5 episodes in, I was like, I'm addicted. Luckily, I had a lot of podcasts to catch up on.
Yeah.
So the binger in me was just super happy.
You were happy to like watch.
Listen.
Watch or listen. Cause okay, I always confuse it because I'll mention it now. There are some podcasts that actually have video to them now because it started as radio shows. It's a replacement for radio shows generally.
Yeah.
You know, it's something. It's also like what we talked about earlier. Like instead of watching something that's live, lots of people prefer stuff on demand now. So it's there. It exists there just as one thing that you could just click and listen to whenever you feel like. It's that FOMO, that fear of missing out. I think that alleviates that whole stress of like, even if that thing was recorded live, you can still listen to or watch the VODs of them on either Twitch or YouTube or I know lots of lots of podcasts are on SoundCloud as well, and
Well, I mean, the thing about podcasts is that there's so many different types.
yeah.
I got into Welcome to Night Vale first, which was like a storytelling kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so it's set in a fictional world.
Exactly. And I mean, it was great for me because it's just a little bit odd, just like I am. And also, like, I would listen to it while I was working. It was great to listen to while I was working. Just kind of kept me on track. Kind of like a white noise, but made me giggle every now and then.
Yeah.
Obviously, earphones in because I did have a situation where I was listening to it out loud on my phone, and my coworkers would walk by and just look at me really weirdly. I mean, I can't think of anything now, but there have been several situations where they're talking about, like, I don't know, skinning someone or like a 5-headed dragon, and they're just
it
like,
does get very kooky. It's like you know what I actually like. Just because you're talking about Welcome to Night Vale, like, you actually suggested it to me.
I did. I was so obsessed with it. I wanted everyone to listen.
Yeah, and
no one did. I think you were the only person that actually...
Yeah, I listened to quite a few episodes, and the vibe I get from it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my opinion on it, it's like, if you enjoy quote-unquote kooky stuff like Addams Family or like Night Before Christmas. Like, you'll enjoy this because it's weird.
Yeah.
And, like, but it throws you into that weird-ass world because the whole premise is it's this weird-ass town. Just populated by, like, strange occurrences.
Yeah, and for them it's completely normal, and everything is endearing. Like the characters are so sweet. Like you can't not
even if most of the characters you just hear about.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't meet most of them.
Yeah.
A lot. They have brought in a lot of the characters now, but a lot of them you just hear about.
Yeah.
But you still get to love them because it's just like, oh, there's like dead animals raining from the sky. That's normal.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I mean, I think it's one of my favorite things where you're in this world and you just kind of normalize everything that would be kind of mind-boggling to us.
Yeah. It's like you have this little auto setting in your head going like, oh yeah, it's Night Vale.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's weird. Oh yeah, it's Night Vale.
Yeah.
Night Vale.
And I loved it. Okay, so that was like...
That was your first podcast.
That was my first experience. And it was this little story. And obviously, me being me, I was like, okay, well, this is what all podcasts are like. They're stories. They're just like weirdness. Turns out I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, as usual.
There's lots of genres of podcasts that you can listen to. Some of them are... You know what? The closest thing that I can actually relate podcasts to is books. Because there's some podcasts that are set in a world that's like the fantasy part of it.
Oh, of course.
And then there's podcasts just about mundane, boring shit, you know? But the presenters could make it very interesting. Just like us, we have this whole concept of just media. And we talk about media and stuff. But we could have easily just made this whole thing if we were better at improv, I think, you know? Because that's where a lot of like, I know Welcome to Night Vale,
No, Welcome to Night Vale is not improv. But
No, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Welcome to Night Vale is written by, he's a writer, he's a novelist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Although if like you also do get the improv ones.
Yes.
Hello from the Magic Tavern, the other one that I really like.
Yeah, we actually mentioned it in, I believe it's the 3rd episode.
Yeah. That one, a lot of improv.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not too sure. That's just kind of what I assume from listening to it.
It's definitely improv.
Yeah. But I love it. Like, you can just hear those people having so much fun.
Yeah.
Just being silly. Sadly, I'm not that smart. And I can't think of stuff like, how many times have you asked me a question? I'm just kind of like...
just blank.
Please edit out my silence. You know?
No, I think improv is a big part of like being in a podcast in general. Even if you're not an adept at being an improv artist, like I'm not saying be fucking Colin Mockery or anyone from Whose Line Is It Anyway, but like it works just so that you can have a flow to it, you know. But
okay, so those are my general, like the kind of podcasts I listen to.
Yeah.
Like the fantasy, the story. Like I like listening to a little story while I'm busy doing other stuff. You, on the other hand,
I listen to podcasts that are similar to the books I read. I'm a huge fan of fiction in movies or like fantasy in movies. So like some of my favorite movies are the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, that kind of thing. But books, I can't read fiction. I do not like fiction at all. For some reason, I don't like it. You know,
what, do you just have like a super crap imagination?
Ow. No, for some reason, I'm just like, I enjoy it. Like for example, when I was a kid, I read Harry Potter and everything. So like, I enjoyed it. But for some reason, it's not that I dislike it. It's that I'm more drawn to like autobiographies or like encyclopedias, that kind of thing. When I was a kid, like I shit you not, like my mom told me, I read encyclopedias like I read children's books when I was 3.
For fun?
Yeah, for fun. I was like, wow, look at this cool thing. Like fucking go to like, because everyone has a phase like when they're kids going like, I like dinosaurs, you know, that kind of thing.
Me in 3rd grade.
Yeah. And that was me just going like, I'm going to read about the Tyrannosaurus Rex, you know, that kind of thing. And going like into detail. I could tell other kids about stuff like, no, I mean, I remember I was 6 And then, well, we're going on a tangent. Sorry about that. But I was 6. And I like kept on arguing with kids going like, no, a pterodactyl is not a dinosaur. You know, that kind of thing. It's not a dinosaur. It's a flying reptile, but it's not a dinosaur.
You were that weird kid that ran around screaming, "My epidermis is showing!" freaking out all the other children, making them think you have cooties.
But yeah, back on topic, like, those are the podcasts that I listen to.
Okay,
it's
so
matter of fact, like, it's not...
information.
It's informational. It, like, if it's opinion pieces, it's real. It's not set in a fictional world. It's not, like, for lack of a better word, it's not made up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, but your first... Do you remember what the first one was?
My very first podcast I listened to was one of Kevin Smith's podcasts. Kevin Smith, if you don't know, the director of Clerks, Mallrats, he's Silent Bob in Jay and Silent Bob. And he actually has a fuck ton of podcasts because he just loves talking. Love that guy so much. But yeah, it was one of the first episodes of Fatman on Batman. And it was an interview with, believe it was Tara Strong, the voice actor for Harley Quinn. That's why he had her on there, because the whole premise was he's a fan of Batman. And I think one of the first episodes was like him and Mark Hamill talking, you know, that kind of thing. And then, but I didn't regularly listen to it. I just listened to that and went, oh, this is interesting. The other one I listened to, this one I listened to a lot, was Geek a Week. So it was...
Sorry, I don't know if you mentioned this. This was like 6 years ago?
Yeah, it was quite a few years ago. Yeah. But, yeah, Geek a Week was... The premise was... Forgive me, but I can't remember the artist's name. But it's a comic artist, or a cartoonist, and what he did was... He made trading cards of all his guests, and all his guests were like geek people, like geek celebrities. And then he'd interview them, and while he was interviewing them, he'd draw caricatures.
That's so cool.
So at the end of the episode, you'd see that on the website, and you'd see it's like baseball cards, like of the celebrity.
Oh.
But it's like cool because, like, let's say it's Mark Hamill, and he'd either look like the Joker, or he'd look like Luke Skywalker, or, you know, whatever. And I listened to that a lot. And, yeah, that was the podcast I listened to a lot. Like, and the cool thing about that podcast was it was on a website where you could just download the MP3. That was the convenient thing about podcasts as well, is you don't have to stream it. You can just download and listen to it whenever. You can buy it on iTunes, you know? And, yeah, then later on I went back to Fatman on Batman and then actually listened to a lot of it. And really enjoy it. Love Kevin Smith talking. Like, if I could talk like him, I'd listen to myself every day, you know? Love that guy so much. And then the next podcast I started listening to, and I still listen to it. The next podcast I listen to, like, religiously. Like, every time it comes out, ooh, can't wait to listen to this one, you know? The Co-optional podcast, that's on Total Biscuit's YouTube channel, and it's on Twitch as well, live, and it's hosted by Total Biscuit, Jesse Cox, and Dodger from Press Hard to Continue, and it's about gaming. It's one of those podcasts that have video with it as well, but you can listen to it without. They generally talk about video games. That's more or less what it is. They have guests on almost every episode, and it's quite a long podcast. It's like usually 3 hours long.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, our first one was an hour long.
Yeah, and I think the episode that's closest to that is last week's episode.
Yeah.
50 minutes.
And I already got told that one was too long. I mean, I felt it was too long.
Yeah.
But again, it depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah, and what you're into.
Yeah.
You know?
And who's listening to it.
Yeah. Exactly. Who is listening to it? Like, I'm the type of person who doesn't mind long podcasts, but I also appreciate shorter podcasts because it's little bite-sized things. Yeah. Just to finish it off, the last 3 podcasts I usually listen to, the Dex podcast,
right?
The Dex Cast, and I mentioned that in the first episode. It's a podcast about Pokemon, just because I'm a huge fan of Pokemon. And Goosebuds, which is a very weird concept, but the premise of the whole show is they're 3 guys and they have a book club and all they read is Goosebumps, you know? Hilarious.
Well, that kind of leads me into one of the other podcasts I listen to on and off. It's called One Bizarre Podcast.
Yeah.
And this was when I went into my little phase of like, I don't know, I like spooky stuff sometimes. Not like scare me, just like a little bit off again with the Welcome to Night Vale and the Magic Tavern. I like things that are just a little bit off. And this one is basically just like, they comment on people that have seen ghosts and...
It's a paranormal podcast.
It's a paranormal podcast. I love it though. The girls are like so adorable and I can see me and my one friend acting like that a lot. They did one of their first episodes, they had a ad about adopting chupacabras. I nearly canned myself in the office. People were looking at me strangely. There have been others too. I like listening to supernatural podcasts.
Because it's interesting.
It's interesting. I mean, if also a lot of them are very funny.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing. I look for a little bit odd and funny.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to giggle a little bit.
Yeah.
Brighten up my day while I'm doing monotonous work.
Yeah, and I mean, just to go on a tiny tangent on it is like, there's kind of I'd say a cousin of podcasts, and it's on YouTube, and it's called Let's Plays.
Yeah.
And I think it gives that same vibe of like, if you like listening to podcasts in the same vein as that, like just a conversational thing with a bit of humor and stuff like that, Let's Plays are more or less the same, where you feel like you're just chilling with these people.
But obviously that's for people that are interested in games.
Exactly.
That specific game that they're playing, and also games in general.
Not necessarily. Like, for example, Game Grumps. I'll watch them play any game, even if it's a game I think is shit. You know?
Yeah, but...
I'm more interested in them.
Yeah.
I'd rather listen... I'd actually, to be honest, and Game Grumps, if you're listening, you aren't, but like, if you're listening... If you guys want to do a podcast, just fucking do it. I'd fucking listen to it all day.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that tangent aside, like, it's that whole thing where you enjoy watching, enjoy listening to it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And obviously then you get a whole variety of other podcasts.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally too many to name in this show.
Exactly. I mean, the most popular one, I think, off the top of my head, everyone knows about TED Talks.
It's not a podcast, though.
They do have a...
Yeah, they do. But, like, TED Talks are, like, they're well known for their, like, presentations. Yeah.
But, okay, so that's also a podcast. Because of my sister, I got into a podcast, The Skinny Confidential. So that's more about fitness.
Yeah.
Also a little bit of business.
What's the Quality of Life podcast kind of?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, that's like a very big deviation from like what I'm usually
the geeky
into.
Stuff and the weird stuff.
But I mean, that's I love listening to it because it kind of gets you motivated, makes me think about my life, how to improve myself, whatever. Also, I don't know, like if you're it motivated me a lot with this podcast because obviously their podcast is also a lot. They mention the fact that the girl, she has a blog.
Yeah.
And this is the first time they're doing a podcast. So,
okay.
I mean, they've been going for a year now, I think. But they talk about the podcast, building the podcast, what it's like to work on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like a lot of motivational stuff. So if anyone's thinking about maybe starting a podcast, like give them a listen.
Yeah. And I mean, you also told me about this and it's like, even if it's just not for podcasts, like if you just need a bit of a motivation about making something.
Yeah, just about your life and like where you're headed. So yeah, those are some fun podcasts to listen to too. Just, I mean, if you're into something, just search it. I'm pretty sure you'll find a podcast about it.
Hey, and if you're one of those people who found us that way,
Yay!
welcome. Hi.
Thank you.
I hope you like it. Much love. But, like, to show your love, just, like, press that subscribe button. It's no big deal.
Subscribe, please.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
just like throw it in there, you know.
Yeah,
but,
so those are podcasts.
Yeah. Well, I forgot to mention this one, but it's still a new podcast. It's not as new as ours, but
ours
it's
is like fetus.
A baby.
Not even.
Yeah. That one Video Galaxy podcast. It's hosted by Gerard Khalil, the completionist. And it's also about video games. Because, like, I'm pretty sure you guys see, like, or hear a pattern forming that I generally enjoy video game stuff. Just in general.
What?
What?
No! Really?
Yes.
That was super loud.
They won't even know because I edited it.
Anyway.
Yeah. Are there any recommendations you'd give of the ones that you enjoy? The general public, would they enjoy Welcome to Night Vale? Would they enjoy The Skinny Confidential?
Okay, if you're into fitness and like health and style and stuff, I would say listen to The Skinny Confidential. If you like oddities and creativity,
Yeah.
Welcome to Night Vale.
Also, if you're a person who likes stories. you know,
Yeah, absolutely. And if you like butthole jokes and 12-year-old boy humor, Hello from the Magic Tavern is perfect.
Or Swamp Donkey Let's Plays.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Fart jokes and 12-year-old boy humor.
It's perfect. Perfect combination. But yeah, there's pretty much, if you're into something, just take a chance and like search in the iStore. Like,
Yeah, something podcast.
yeah.
You know?
Oh, I mean, I also spent a lot of time searching for Japanese lifestyle podcasts, like into just like information on living in Japan.
Yeah.
That you can get a lot of as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, really, it's I like it because it's from someone's perspective.
Yeah, exactly. That's that whole thing where it's not like a magazine or a website
Yeah.
trying to sell you something. It's literally just someone's opinion on it.
Yeah,
This is my experience on it. Take it or leave it.
exactly.
That's what I enjoy about podcasts as well. Instead of like reading I'm just going to go back to video games about this, but like for the co-optional podcast is like, instead of listening to it or instead of just reading a review on IGN or whatever, and they give me like an opinion that's kind of like, this is why we'd sell the game, you know, that kind of thing. It's not really an opinion. It doesn't feel like an opinion to me. But the co-optional podcast, they won't say like, no, this is a 9.5. It's more like, no, I experienced it. This is the problem I have with it, but it's more conversational.
Yeah.
The way they say it is more like in a conversational way.
Yeah, like you're
And
having
they-
a chat with a friend.
And just like ours, we debate stuff.
Exactly.
We go like, this is my feeling on it, but like, you can change my mind about this. You know, that kind of feel.
Opinions are subjective.
Everything's subjective. Farts are subjective.
Ew.
See?
Yeah, Marius would have appreciated that.
I'm still in Marius mode for some reason in a tiny.
It's gonna be terrible if the
There's
three
a-
of us are here.
There's a little bit of Marius in everyone's hearts. Just like,
Fart humor.
I love that guy. Anyway, so yeah, just around this off, I'd actually just like to say this is the podcast that we mentioned, like from both of our sides. It's one of the reasons we started a podcast.
Absolutely.
It's not that we wanted to become rich and famous and thought like, yeah, this is definitely what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a fucking podcast and become millionaires.
No, I think it pretty much started with us going, oh my gosh, we're so funny. Let's record ourselves.
That was you.
That was me. And now looking back, I'm like, I'm not funny at
I
all.
would never be so humble. But yeah, no. Stuff like, I mean, you guys could probably tell if you listen to the Dex as well, the Dex Cast. A lot of this format is inspired by them. I wouldn't say it's necessarily copied by, like, I didn't copy them, but like, I'm very inspired by them, and the co-optional podcast as well, you know? Like, our conversational stuff is just like, that's just how it is, and that's what I wanted to give you guys, you know? I wanted to make a show about media, just talk about stuff that we like, and stuff that we didn't even experience beforehand. Stuff that we might not even have listened to.
Yeah.
Or watched. Or
the point
seen.
is, hopefully we can inspire someone to watch, play, or try something new.
Yeah, that's exactly what the purpose is for this podcast.
Because, I mean, we do this, I do this a lot. You just kind of get stuck in your routine.
Yeah. In that
forget-
comfort zone kind of.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. It's hard to get out of the comfort zone. And hopefully, like, just having a chat about it, someone listening to it is like, you know what? Now I'm kind of tempted to try this.
Yeah.
Or watch this.
Yeah.
Or now I'm curious.
That's the point of this podcast.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't sound like your cup of tea, that's fine too.
That's fine. We handle rejection on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We'll be okay with it. Okay,
Anyway.
no.
Well, I think on that weirdly sad note, but not because it's a joke. Shit joke. Yeah, on that note, I think this is the time that we'll end the podcast this week. But before we end off this podcast, we will be pulling from the magical, mysterious hat. Nadi, are you prepared?
Is it your turn?
Well,
Who pulled
Marius.
last?
No, Marius pulled one last time.
Okay, so it's your turn.
My turn? Okay, well.
Dim, dim,
Let's see.
dim. You're
Come
taking
in.
too long.
Oh. Next week's episode is about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Damn it.
So, it's the 80s movie? It's an 80s movie.
Are you
80s, 90s. Early 90s, late 80s movie.
Okay, where are we gonna get a VHS player?
Or you can just, like, borrow my DVD that I have of it because I'm a huge fan of this movie.
You're such a dork.
That's fine. Well, I'm looking forward to next week. Don't know about you. So yeah, and then right before we end, would you like to, besides recommending a podcast, is there anything that you'd like to recommend our listeners?
Guys, stay in school and don't do drugs.
Stay in drugs, don't do school.
Exactly. Drink your drugs. Wake up early. I don't know.
Get crunk and dizzy. That's what the kids say.
You got anything for us?
Dab. No.
People don't even dab. Do people
I
dab?
know. I know. I don't fucking know. I didn't even know dab. I found out what dabs were when they weren't cool anymore. So like,
I don't think that was never ever a thing here.
I don't fucking know, dude. Seriously. But yeah, I think that's about it for this week. And if you guys enjoyed this video,
Like.
or not even the video, just enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like. Please give us a follow, comment, subscribe, whatever platform you're listening to this on.
Oh, and if you have anything you want to add into the hats that we should review or just take a look at, please let us know.
Yeah. And that's about it for this week.
Yep.
We'll see you guys next week when we talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Bye!
Bye!